Good morning. Welcome to the second episode, if you're even here, of Brewing with Company, the talk show where a couple of average Joes drink a cup of Joe and talk about pop culture and video games. We come together today to have a huge topic of conversation, i.e., we're talking about video games today. I am one of your hosts, the questionable French ambassador, Lee. And I'm brought to you by my friend Big Tooth Smiley Face. How you doing? Dude, these are gonna get worse over time. I'm not gonna be able to make these better.
I love it. I absolutely love it, man.
I'm sorry, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, he doesn't tell me what he's gonna call himself or
Don't
me
tell me what I'm
before.
gonna call myself, dude. I'm doing these. I told myself I'm gonna hit record, and whatever comes to the brain comes to the brain. And oh god, these are either gonna be worse or better or both over time. But again, just like the last episode, I'm still on Bones coffee, man. What are we drinking now?
I still got only like three more of the Twix one left, and then I'm about to probably buy me some new stuff. I did hear my coworkers yesterday were talking about Konoha coffee. See, where I work in an office, and there's always coffee there, and they have this Konoha coffee that I'm not gonna lie. I tasted it and I was like, yo, this is I tasted it was I didn't even put any creamer in it yet. And it was fantastic. I was like, I'm gonna have to try this later on. So yeah.
Are you big with creamer in your coffee? Because
See,
I am, dude. I'm as much as I love coffee, black coffee is like it's a bit mush.
it depends. It depends. Now, if I've been up for 24 hours, like, I know you remember some of those active duty times where you're up for well over 16 hours and stuff like that. Sometimes at that point, I need just black coffee and sugar. That's what I need.
It gets
But
the job done.
it gets the job done. But for the most part, yeah, I'll take a little bit of creamer. I don't like too much because then it just tastes like I don't even know, like a hot slushy. Well, I mean not slushy, but I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to
Like
say. But
sweet milk.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh, slushy. What am I saying? A hot sweet milk, and it's like I don't really like that. I do also still like the coffee taste. So yeah.
I think that's why I like the Bones coffee, because what it says it has a hint of in it, it genuinely has a hint of. Like
Mm.
it's not like wine tasting. Like, have you ever been to a wine tasting
I'm
and they're like,
literally
"Can
tomorrow.
you taste the chestnut firewood?" And you're like,
You're like,
"No, dude, it tastes
no,
like
I
freaking
don't.
wine. It tastes like wine. It tastes like bitter ass wine." And I'm sorry if anybody's a wine taster, like I just can't stand that stuff. They're like, a hint of firewood and placenta. You're like,
And
dude, what the
slam.
fuck? You're just like making shit up, dude. Yeah, and you can't taste any of that. This coffee, like the flavor I'm drinking right now, it's called Holy Cannoli, and it's the Godfather poster. And instead of smoking a cigar, he's smoking a cannoli. And dude, it's so cool. But again, it has that sweet aftertaste. I only put like a splash of creamer in this coffee. Like, it's the first time I drink a coffee because, like, I'm not a huge fan of Black Rifle.
Yeah.
That's like man's coffee. Like, and I take pride in being a man, but
You're
I
right.
am not like when it comes to coffee, I'm like, can I get a little bit of sugar, please?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
can I get a little splash of sugar, please? Dude.
I feel
But
you.
while we're caffeinated, today's topic, it's a little depressing. Kind of. I don't know. It depends on how we come after it. It comes with a question, but I want to lead with it. So as of this recording, I couldn't find the exact number. I had the exact number the other day, but it's climbed since then. In the video game industry, 9,000 plus layoffs.
Oh, I
It is
did.
March.
I
It
heard
is
about.
freaking March. 9,000. And it's not, this company is getting the majority of it. It's like Guerrilla Games just announced layoffs. Insomniac Games just announced layoffs. Naughty Dog just announced layoffs. Tons and tons of layoffs in the gaming industry that is just heartbreaking as hell. Because I understand it, dude. Like, it is a business at the end of the day. But
Mhm.
you take a year like 2023, massive commercial successes. Like,
Right.
why look, I don't run a business, and I'm not in marketing. I'm not a treasurer for a company or anything along those lines, right? So I'm taking what I'm asking as a grain of salt. But Insomniac just came out with Spider-Man 2.
Right.
Spider-Man 2 sold over, what was it, 24 million copies? No, I think it's 12 million copies.
It's
Sorry.
12.
Over 12 million copies. 12 million copies is a grip. That is a grip of copies to sell on the market. Like 12 million with an M.
Yeah.
But this brings the question, which is the topic of the day, which is, are video games getting too big? Vastly too big.
Mm.
I feel like that's a broad question.
Yeah, I was literally about to say that exact same thing. You were reading my mind. That's a broad question because, I mean, are you talking like the time it takes to complete them, or are you talking about literally the size of them, the budget of them, or like are you talking about size as in like the size of like open world, or are you talking about size as in gigabytes? Like how much space is this literally taking up on my hard drive?
Jesus Christ. I mean, like, yes to all. It's like that's the question. But I mean, it really is. It really is like, is that the question? Is like, are video games too big to kind of? I love that you do that in the mic. That's either gonna give some ASMR to some guy that's like, drink the coffee again, or or somebody's gonna be like, can you please stop?
Hey,
You're
I'm
making
still
me
gonna
nauseous,
keep doing it.
dude. But it brings into that question is like, we talk about budgets, right? Like I heard you say budgets, and I think to talk about the 9,000 jobs lost. Like, dude, if you put 9,000 tally marks on a piece of paper,
Holy cow.
your fingers would get numb and you'd be like, holy shit, that's a large number.
Right.
That's 9,000 fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters who lost income for their livelihood. And again, I know it's a business and I don't understand business, but $12 million or 12 million copies. You're telling me 12 million copies of this game didn't produce? It's a commercial success.
Yeah.
I think to break even on their budget, which by the way, when we're talking about the topic of is video games too big, Spider-Man 2, let me look at my notes. I'm sorry, geez, $300 million development budget.
Whoa. Are you serious? 300 million? That's more than a lot of movies. I'm talking about like those expensive Marvel movies. Are you serious?
Dude, $300 million for the budget. And like, again, I cannot stress enough, I don't make games and I don't own businesses. But number one, I play Spider-Man 2, right?
Yeah.
Which I think it has its issues, but
Yeah.
a very enjoyable game. Like, if you ask me, like, would you recommend spending the money on it? I'd be like, yeah. Like, of all the games you're spending full price on, yeah, I would say Spider-Man 2 is worth its $70 price point. I mean, that's a whole different topic in itself. But like, yes, I would recommend play Spider-Man 2 to spend money on it. And even with the cool new features in that game, i.e., the fast travel, the instant fast travel, all these cool things that the SSD of the PlayStation 5 can do, right? That you're starting to show the quote unquote next generation hardware.
Right.
Where the hell does $300 million go, man?
Right.
Like, that's a lot.
It's a lot
And
of money.
I have a hard time believing that and apparently that was like 40 million over budget.
What?
But here's the thing, with $300 million for it to be a commercial success, or I think to just break even, they only needed to sell like 7 million copies. I say only, but
Yeah. I just did the math, and full price being $69.99, correct? Right.
yeah, for
Yeah.
most places,
I mean,
US dollars, US
Yeah,
dollars.
USD, right? And I know some people probably bought like the collector's edition and all that type of stuff. But let's just keep it at $69.99.
Average, yeah.
That is $840 million. That's wow. That's a
Hell of a profit.
that's a pretty good profit over a $300 million budget. I'm assuming that's also including the marketing that came with it.
I would assume, I
I
hope
was-
so, because if that's not including marketing, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, because like
It is. I think they put that in the
it must
budget for
it must
development.
it must be because like you said, it's not a bad game. There's some stuff that I didn't really agree with the direction that they went with Spider-Man 2. But overall, is it an enjoyable game? Yeah. Is it as replayable as the first one? No.
I would say
say
no.
I would say that straight up no. But it was very interesting. The fast travel, the web wings, the novelty of being able to play as Miles and Peter like in seconds and switch between them. That was really cool. But in my opinion, in my personal opinion, it kind of wore off after like the first like 2 or 3 hours. In my personal opinion,
Not $300 million worth.
yeah,
I could live without that mechanic. Like,
right, yeah,
if that
like
means I get
that's
the game quicker and cheaper, like, geez.
especially when we got the game when it first came out, it was full of bugs. Like I know a lot of people like because it came out the same time as Starfield, which Starfield, don't get me wrong, had a whole bunch of bugs too, but like at the same time, like I was getting game breaking bugs in Spider-Man. I had to replay the final mission twice because I got stuck in that building. I was like, what the heck? And then there's just stuff like that. But yeah, like things are taking, in my opinion, too long to create because they're just stuffing so much unnecessary fluff into it. I mean, but at the same time, there's so many moments in these type of games where you just literally stop and have to just like take a picture and like look at something because it just looks so beautiful. So you're right. It's a broad question. Very broad.
Well, but then I'm gonna counter that, right? Where you say you got to stop and look, it's so beautiful. Are you saying that that money is becoming worth it because the visual? I'm okay. I don't want to narrow it down that simple. That's not what I'm saying. But like, so my counter to that is, bro, take a wild guess. You played Ghost of Tsushima, right?
Yes, I have.
Take a wild guess on the development budget of Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, okay. Man, if Spider-Man. All right. I'm not very good with the whole guessing money thing, but I'm gonna say 110 million.
$60 million.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Wow.
Damn near a
Wait,
quarter, less
what?
than a quarter of the profit. This is
But
my point, right?
looks
So
it
this
looks
goes in
so it looks so good.
phenomenal. But do you know what it
Wait,
is?
so then where did that $300 million go?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Because
I understand that these AAA games, one, they take more time. And this is the big question in the gaming industry right now, which is, are these big AAA, or as Ubisoft wants to throw out the now quadruple A, whatever the hell. Thank you, Skull and Bones. You're not a quadruple A game, not even a double A game. But
oh, Lord.
dude, but that's a good point, right? Skull and Bones, development hell for like 9.5 years. 9 years, dude.
Get this thing.
Or even better point is like, look at Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This is
I
CEOs,
didn't think about that.
right? This
Yeah.
is CEOs pressuring companies to do something that's outside of their bread and butter, putting too much money into places that don't matter, pressuring this live service crap. Like, when I look at WB and you tell me, hey, Rocksteady, make a game, what are you going to make?
Oh,
Nowhere in my brain is it, I want some looter shooter freaking live service base game set in the Batman universe, but we're not playing as Batman. As a matter of fact, we're gonna kill Batman. And here's my thing: I don't have an issue with the idea of kill the Justice League, just coming from a story standpoint. But you put it behind this. First of all, I haven't played Suicide Squad yet,
right.
but I've seen enough gameplay to go, this is a nauseating experience, dude. The UI, the numbers, all the crap flying in front of you. It's just, this is not what anybody asked for. And it took 9 years. And it could have effectively damaged the crap out of Rocksteady.
I think it already did, honestly, because like when you hear Rocksteady, instantly I think of Arkham City. I think of I think of just flying. And don't be wrong, Arkham Asylum was fantastic too. But me personally, what really got me was Arkham City. The way you can just fly through Arkham and sorry, glide or whatever. And the way that there's just so much stuff going on in that game, but like it's not overbearing and it's not it's very believable in my opinion that all of this stuff happens in one night, but but it's just non it can be nonstop, or you can take a second to look around and find other stories that are happening in that game. But it doesn't it gets its point across, and Rocksteady like stuck with a what they did right, what they knew how to do. And when you like you were saying, like, I think they're just being forced by powers on high to, just because, oh, we saw the success of Fortnite, or of I don't know, I can't think of any other. I don't really play
Apex
that many.
Legends.
Apex Legends. Actually, no, I take that back. I played Apex for like 6 seasons, 6, 7 seasons. But like, they see the success of that, and they're just like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's just do exactly that, even though that's not
It's not your bread and
what
butter.
that's not your bread and butter. Like, I don't want to say, like, don't innovate, don't change for the better and stuff like that. But like, when you change in a complete almost different genre, you know, uh, it just doesn't work. It's just like, the funny thing was, uh, a lot of my friends, back when Fallout 76 was being announced, they were like, "Oh my god," because they loved Fallout New Vegas, they loved Fallout 4, which, I didn't mind Fallout 4, but but then they heard Fallout New Vegas, and they're like, "Oh, we get to play with our friends and some of that." I instantly knew, and before the game, even after the first trailer, I was like, that game is going to be terrible. And now I hear that it is better now, but even still, I have no interest in playing it, because that's not
Exactly.
fun to me. Like, I don't like. Is it cool that you can play with your friends? Is it cool that you can, like, do all that type of stuff? Sure, but like, at the same time, honestly, I think Rockstar got lucky with Grand Theft Auto Online, because it didn't work for Red Dead Redemption Online. It didn't.
No.
Because if it does, just
I think
I don't know what I'm
what
trying to say here.
exactly. I think what makes GTA Online so successful, right, is the gameplay focus of Grand Theft Auto
It's
and
committing
its
crime.
story. Yeah, well, and the gameplay and its story can live separately, because like the gameplay is a sandbox where you live in this, I hate referring to GTA as a RPG because it's not, but like kind of is. Like the role you're playing is thugged out gangster, I guess. But like those two entities can live separately. Your gameplay of Grand Theft Auto can live separate. And GTA Online, dude, kudos to Rockstar for making, interesting heists, interesting the casino and all these things. Like, I'm not into it. The live service thing
Same,
doesn't hit me very well,
same.
but there's always a trickle effect of success. And again, this is what feeds into the "are video games too big?" Because they want these. Let's look at Naughty Dog, for instance, right?
Ooh,
Naughty Dog just canceled the Factions live service because somebody finally went, dude, this doesn't work this way. You cannot have the visuals, the concept, and the feeling of The Last of Us and it be a constant rotation. You're
right.
talking about millions of dollars, tons of manpower. We'll never make an original IP again if we just focus on this Factions thing. And they finally cut it out and was like, no, we are Naughty Dog. We make linear narratives and we do these things. And it takes time, dude. Did you watch the Last of Us Part 2 Grounded documentary, the making of? It gives a prime perspective of this exact topic we're talking about, which is even Neil Druckmann quite recently on, weirdly enough, the rapper Logic.
Yes.
He said this on Logic's podcast. There is a podcast where Logic talks with Neil Druckmann. What a
What?
weird
That's
time.
awesome. I'll have to
What
check
a
it.
weird time we live in. But he talks about how he doesn't think he's going to. Neil Druckmann doesn't think he's going to make these big AAA games anymore because they take between 5 and 7 years of commitment to make, and they take these drastic numbers. Like The Last of Us Part 2, $220 million of production value. Now, I will say this. I don't know about $220 million worth, but when I play The Last of Us Part 2, I feel the budget.
Yeah, you know what?
Whether you like the story or not, it's a freaking masterpiece in the way it's crafted.
Oh
It,
yeah.
at least my opinion, has the best enemy AI system of any video game on the planet.
Oh yeah. No, actually,
The way they move, the way they interact, the way they bounce off each other
Mhm.
is phenomenal. And then on top of that, they did the whole emotional aspect where it's like, you killed Josh. Like, Josh was my fucking friend, you
You're like, oh,
dick. And then, yeah,
you're
dude,
like, oh, wait,
you
wait,
feel,
like, did I
you feel like
really
a
just,
murderer.
did I really just kill your friend? Oh man, like, you're not just a nameless NPC, like in Grand Theft Auto. Like, oh god, that was
And then he's like
Josh.
crying. Josh is crying over the dog of his that you just killed too. And you're like, I'm a piece of shit. Like,
Oh my god.
yeah. So again, I feel the budget of that game, and it earned back its budget quite well. That's why Naughty Dog is probably my favorite PlayStation studio. But what pisses me off is because of these high budgets and times, what have we gotten from Naughty Dog since 2013? Okay, we've gotten The Last of Us. We've gotten Uncharted 4. We've gotten Uncharted Lost Legacy. We've gotten The Last of Us.
I know
We've
you're
gotten The Last of Us Part 2. We've gotten Uncharted 4 Remaster and Legacy Remastered. We've gotten The Last of Us Part 2. You see what I'm getting at? Like, it's like you're rehashing this thing that's successful because what does it take to make a new IP? A shit ton of money, a shit ton of time, and guts.
and guts to do it, yeah.
And you see these 9,000 layoffs, and you go, The Last of Us is making money.
Yeah.
Neil, make your IP on your own time. And that's why Neil Druckmann's original IP that he's coming out with, we haven't heard a damn thing about it in 2 years. We don't know where it's going. So it's like, the question is, are video games too big? When it comes to budget, I really think so, man. Because look at Ghost of Tsushima, like I just said, $60 million.
Yeah.
That's a quarter of that budget.
Relatively small.
Beautifully made game. Beautifully made. Maybe a traditional loop, it's a typical RPG, sneak around, samurai. I like the combat system. I think the combat system of Ghost of Tsushima is like not the craziest, most innovative thing, but it's great. Like having different stances, doing the parry model. I love it.
Yeah.
But the story is where it kills. And each side quest being its own story is where it kills. And that's and then it's all done at $60 million. So I'm thinking, like, when it comes to the budget of games, if it means 9,000 people don't lose their jobs, for one, narrowing these down in their budgets, I'd be willing to sacrifice some of this next gen idea, right? Because again, I'm also a consumer. I paid $500 for this damn thing. I want to see it tick.
Exactly. You ain't wrong there, man. This is such a good question. I like that because you're absolutely right. It is so broad. I agree with you on the size thing, on the budget thing, but I was also thinking just now, the time it takes to finish some of these games. Like you said a couple of those games earlier, but there's also one that you didn't mention earlier that I'm kind of a little embarrassed to admit, but I haven't finished Hogwarts Legacy yet. And if anyone knows me, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. Huge Harry Potter. I was known as like the Harry Potter kid. I was in line at Borders from Goblet of Fire upwards, and had each book read like within 36 hours. So I was all down. I bought it, pre-ordered, and all that stuff. But now I'm in my 30s. I got a mortgage. I got all this other stuff to do and everything. And there is so much to do in that game. And this crazy thing, it's not even one of the biggest games of the year. Like as in like
not even close.
As in like the scope of what you can do in the game. But I haven't finished it yet. I haven't finished the story yet because I had to go and find all the little demi-guys and all that stuff. I had to go find all that other stuff. And then all of a sudden, work gets crazy, and you gotta go do some stuff for. If anyone knows, I'm part of the military too, so you have things that you have to leave and go and do stuff and everything like that, and go to TDYs and everything like that. So it's like man, I
gotta keep up.
I don't have the time to play a 60, 70 hour game in the time frame that I would want to, because what happened after Hogwarts Legacy came out, Baldur's Gate 3 came out.
Oh, good God.
Starfield came out let's pretend that Starfield was fantastic, but it still came out, and so I still bought it and had to play it. Spider-Man 2 came out. So it's like, bro.
You know what I loved about Spider-Man 2 though?
Yeah.
The thing that everybody was complaining about it was the part that I loved is that I could get it done in 20 hours. Exactly. I was like, oh, it's a breath of fresh air. Yeah. But again, that kind of hurt its story a little bit because it felt like the pacing was a little quick towards the end there. But again, I agree. So, I agree. You're telling me, bro, I got the same military job as you on top of my civilian job, on top of I got a kid, I got a mortgage. Keeping these hobbies. One, I think we've both this talk show podcast proves that we both have solidified that, oh, screw you, I'm still going to have these hobbies.
Right.
I love this storytelling. I love these games and these movies and stuff. I love them too much to just get them out of my life, right? They are a stress relief for me from those things that we just mentioned. I sit down and I play games and do these things because it's like how I get home. And when I want to rip my freaking hair out because of all the crap that's happened today, and I come home and it's like, I now have to do the dishes and like I now have to sweep the damn floor. And it's like I got to do these things that are never done. And it's like, I'll do the backyard tomorrow, you know? But when I sit down and I hear that on my PlayStation, it's like an instant just, oh, I'm gonna lose myself in this world, whatever that world may be, like Hogwarts Legacy, and come through. But again, we're talking about these responsibilities. For me, like I don't have the the binge weekend when a brand new game comes out anymore. When I was in high school, dude, I remember specifically when I was in high school, Uncharted 3 came out. And I'm a
Yeah.
huge Uncharted fan, as if I haven't blown Naughty Dog enough in these audios. Yeah, but I love it. I mean, that's what I love it. And I remember when Uncharted 3 came out, I bought Uncharted 3, unwrapped it, downloaded it in my PS3, took it out, immediately put Drake's Fortune in, played all three of them back to back in a weekend. Did my chores, did what I had to do, right? Because you don't want to piss off dad, especially like my dad was always like the, aren't you like 12? Why are you still playing video games?
Yeah, like,
It's for children. It's like, go away, Gramps. Like,
yeah.
but I don't have those weekends anymore. So like, I guess, dude, shoot, where you stand now as an adult now, what do you think? We'll put it in this margin. What do you think the base amount of hours, just the main game, should take for a main game for you?
Well, it
And
depends on
then
the genre.
in between, so see, that's where I was gonna lose it, right? So just base game, and then give me a fluctuation to not full blown like platinum completionist, but did a majority of side quests, completing the game to your standard, quote unquote.
Right.
What's your hour mark?
Like for example, for me, like some games I do completionist type stuff, like 100%. I need to see the I need to have that 100%
Spider-Man.
trophy stuff like that. Yeah, but like there's also some games where it's like, oh, make it to level 20 horde with only losing like 5% of your health. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like I don't care about that achievement or anything like that. So or trophy, whichever you guys use, PlayStation for life and PC for life. So but I would say now me personally, I'm usually an RPG type open world type of player. I would say that I would like a game that's no more than 30 hours, like of the main story, and that's like that would be like the max. Like that would be like, okay, this game is taking for like a while. Like it would take me like like more than a month to get through. But like no more than 3 months. Like if
Right.
it's like I love Baldur's Gate. I'm still getting through it, but like I just don't have the time to just sit there and go through all of because I want to see everything. I want to see everything that the main story can possibly tell me. And I'm gonna have to play through different
Builds.
characters and builds and whatnot. And I love like the Assassin's Creed games, stuff like that. Those were in my opinion had like the best length of a story of like the main story. Sure, there was other stuff that you could do on the outside, but like I'm talking about like the more classic Assassin's Creed games because
Mhm.
newer ones are well, but uh yeah, it would have to be at max 30 hours. Like so ideally between like 22 to 26 hours for a good fleshed out main story. Like how long was Last of Us 1? Like just if you were just to sit
I have that in my notes. You would think with how many times I played that game, I would know, but off the top of my head, I do because like for reference, I've probably played The Last of Us 15 plus times because I
oh
play it every year
yeah.
since it came out. I'm too in love with that game, bro. I gotta stop using it as my example for everything. But I don't know. I think it was like anywhere between because it's people think 2013 wasn't that long ago, but we're talking about the PlayStation 3
Yeah.
and its hardware capabilities. So I want to say it's right around 20 hours,
20
21
hours.
hours.
Wait, I was up.
I think so. I'm thinking between 17 to 20 hours. Like it's
Oh,
a shorter game. But dude, you know what blows my mind is like one of the biggest problems of The Last of Us Part 2 was its pacing. Its pacing feels like it's longer than it actually is, dude. The Last of Us Part 2 took me like 26 hours. I think it was like, well, I lied. I think it took me like 32 hours, but that's because I'm a source collecting whore when it comes to that game, dude. I got to freaking knack and grab
yes.
like everything. So it took me like 32 hours for that game. And I remember being towards the end and I was like, oh my God, I had to have put like 50 plus. And I looked down and I was like, oh, I'm like 20 hours off of that. Like it was way shorter than I thought. So it is about perspective and timing. But like I can fly through the first Last of Us in 20 hours probably because I when I play The Last of Us now, it's strictly just because I'm in love with that story. I've done the completionist run. I have a platinum on my old PS3 of it. Like I don't need to do all the
Yeah.
collective thoughts. I usually go in like now that I have part 1, I go in and I put like unlimited ammo and unlimited resources on
Yeah.
just to play the damn game. And I
Yeah.
can probably blow through it in like 20 hours, but that's exactly my point. And it's funny that you brought up Assassin's Creed because my prime example of Jesus Christ, this game is too damn big, slow it down, is Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh yes.
It is
Oh,
the prime example. If it takes you 45 plus hours for the main, not even 45, I think it's like 60 hours
yeah.
is the main structure of that game. I
I
remember I was 64 hours in and I was like, when does this shit end? And it was already pissing me off as an Assassin's Creed fan, but I was dedicated to finishing it at least once so I can have my full opinion on it. But I think it took me like 72 hours to beat the game
oh my god.
entirely. And that's after like 55 hours, I was done doing side content. I just stopped. I was like, I'm just gonna get through the freaking Raventhorpe crap and get it all done, get to the end of the story, see Desmond in the life tree and all that stuff. Sorry if I just spoiled that. But I needed to get to the freaking end of that
Yeah.
because I was like, good God. But that's a prime example of is length too big? Yeah, dude. If it takes you 60 hours to get through your main game, and that was when I was working nights and didn't have a kid. So on my days off, I could put in, 3 days worth of 4 to 6 hours a piece if I really wanted to or could.
And piss off your
You know,
wife. Yeah.
well, I would play after she went to bed.
Okay,
You know,
there. Yeah.
yeah. Because I was working nights. I didn't like reversing my schedule that much, so I would
Nice.
still stay up till like 3 a.m. and play video games. Like that's how I got my gaming time in was working graveyards. So it's like, but then even Valhalla, I was like, dude, it's been like damn near 3 weeks and I'm still playing this freaking thing. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
with you. I think the perfect time frame because you can have as little and as long time as you want but if the story ain't good, it's not gonna matter,
Mhm.
right? Like I'm playing a little indie game right now called American Arcadia.
Right, that's the game you were telling me
It's
earlier.
like
I didn't write it down. I'll write it down right now.
it's a very simple game. Bless me. It's a it's a very simple game. It's not super creative. It's not, you know, this most ambitious thing in the world. It's an indie property game. It's got Yuri Lowenthal in it. If you like Yuri Lowenthal, Spider-Man,
Yes.
or
Love
Sasuke, as most people know him.
Sasuke.
Yeah, he's always gonna be Sasuke. He it's basically Truman Show, the video game,
Mhm.
and it's great.
Yeah.
It's a good story. Takes like 6.5 hours. It's like $30. I think it's like $25 on Steam. I'm playing it on my Steam Deck. Good time, right? So I struggle with the hour mark, but I think in terms of length, like how long a game should be, I'm kind of right in that 25 to 26 hour base game, 32 at the max for a completion run.
Right.
That is a comfortability for me. That's basically what I did God of War Ragnarok in was about 32
Ooh.
hours. And it was
Ooh.
a good pace. It was a good pace.
Yeah, great example. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Um, then to kind of like I could have transitioned a little bit better into this next one, but like uh about this are video games too big? The actual size. Like I'm talking about like the gigabytes. Holy cow, man. Like
Dude.
how many times have I had to delete stuff out of my PlayStation? Even my PC. I had to upgrade my PC just to get Starfield, the storage field.
Yeah, dude.
And honestly, I probably
I have
probably
two
shouldn't
external
have
hard drives.
because Starfield was As much as I was looking forward to that game, I was highly disappointed.
It was not the saving grace of Xbox, and I really do like. I get into console wars
Mhm.
as like I don't really do the console war thing. You know what I mean? Like when
I
I
got
was a kid, it was fun
yeah,
because like I knew that Xbox had competition. You know what I
right.
mean? Like I've always been a PlayStation fanboy. I just have, but like I don't even want to call myself a PlayStation fanboy anymore. I think I'm more of just PlayStation preferred because PlayStation right now has its problems too, right?
Yes.
I have this beautiful PS5. It is a kick-ass piece of hardware, bro. That thing is what it says it is.
Yeah.
But all I'm getting is sequels to games that made the PS4 run like a horse. You know
Oh,
what I mean? So it's like the I don't think we'll ever get, the back end of the PlayStation 4 ever again. I don't think we'll ever get 2017, 2018 PlayStation
oh
ever
my
again, dude.
Jesus, that was
Like
such.
I don't think taking risks, doing things like, dude, I remember when Horizon Zero Dawn was like announced, and I was
Mhm.
like, that's a sick concept. I don't think
Oh yeah.
anybody's thought of this concept. Are you kidding? Cavemen fighting robots with bows and arrows that are dinosaurs. Beautiful, man. You had me at the pitch, right?
Right.
And then you play the game and you're like, this is great.
Yeah.
This is phenomenal. But I'm
It's
pretty sure
good.
Horizon Zero Dawn didn't cost the budget that it did to make Forbidden West, and Forbidden West isn't that much of an upgrade.
No, it's not. It's
It
like
isn't rendering. It is like you're gliding around and the game renders beautifully. Like it still looks good while you're moving. And that's the same thing with Spider-Man 2. A majority of that money went into hauling ass through the city and still being able to render the city in real time.
yeah.
But man, I'd be willing to sacrifice stuff like that because 2018 Spider-Man, the first one, that's not just a good video game. It's a good Spider-Man story.
It's a fantastic Spider-Man. It gets Spider-Man perfectly, in my opinion. It's probably the best besides Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi
Sam Raimi. Yep.
with why am I blanking? Oh my God, I'm gonna
Toby,
myself. Tobey Maguire. Goodness, thank you.
I got you. I'm here for you.
Jeez. Besides that, that was the best rendition of Spider-Man I have ever seen in my entire life, and it was
100%.
done perfectly. And Yuri like had the best. Honestly, I think that's probably like that was his best performance.
I would agree.
I know everyone was like, they loved him in Spider-Man 2 performance. I prefer his first 2018 Spider-Man performance because let's be honest, this Spider-Man this 2023 Spider-Man uh, it was missing so much from what the character of Peter Parker and Spider-Man really is. We can get into that on a different because that's not really the topic today. But why did they spend so much more money on the sequel when you really compare the sequel to the original? Like if you're gonna spend that much more money on something that comes afterwards, I expect something way bigger than what we
Huge
got.
expectations.
Yeah, like I said, you gave us web wings and you gave us the two Spider Man. Even though Miles, I mean Miles had spoiler alert for anyone. I mean the game's been out for over 6 months now, but Miles had a role to play in the story, but like not really. Like
Took a back seat.
he took a back seat and then
It
he
was
kind of
Miles goes to college. It was
yeah, and then he was mostly just doing side missions except for his. Now I did really enjoy his interaction with Lee and like his story like kind of ending with it. I would have preferred him like in the second. I'm assuming they're gonna make a second Miles Morales game. I would have preferred that had been in that game instead of like just a kind of like a side
shoehorned.
thing for this game. So it's like, but it worked well with what was going on with Peter and the symbiote. So I wasn't too mad about that. I was mad, however, that they absolutely wasted Mysterio. Mysterio could have been the perfect villain for Miles in the next Miles game. But now I don't even know who Miles is going to face off in his next game if he even gets
If
a
he even
next game
gets one.
because the third Spider-Man, I'm assuming they're gonna make a third Spider-Man game because they alluded to it. But it seems to me, in spoiler alert, that Miles is gonna take the like the reins from Spider-Man from Peter, and it's like. but he has no relation to the next enemies, which are going to be the Green Goblin and Doc Ock again.
He has nothing.
So it's
Yeah.
like it's just it just felt weird. We're getting into more. We're getting away from the topic a little bit, but I just want
Our
to say,
video game's too big. Spider-Man 2 review. Like,
I know,
yeah.
right?
But
I
I think
just,
it does attribute to that. I think it attributes to this is what happens when you spent too much time on the big budget towards like, dude, don't get me wrong, the fast travel thing is so cool.
it was
It's
very cool.
unbelievable. As somebody who's played video games at a young age, you and I grew up in the time of video games when it was like growing into what it is today.
Yeah,
And so when I see stuff like that, it blows my mind. Like
yeah.
some kids are like, wow, cool, fast travel. And I'm like, no, 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 kid. If you saw me play Spider-Man 2 from the Sam Raimi movie game on the PlayStation 2, and you saw me rolling over that stupid pizza box as I was delivering pizzas, it
Oh, yeah.
blows my mind when I do that fast travel. But I could live without it if you want to pay more time to the story.
Yes, because the
And that's
story
why I
is
think
so lacking. I know a lot of people love the story, but I hate to be the hey, listen, it grounded my gears. All right, like I can't.
it grounded my gears.
Get
Copy
into that.
punter, bro.
It's a coffee
It
pot.
grounded my
But like, I'm just saying, like, hey, we should make that a segment. What grounds my gear? Oh, that's awesome. That'll be a segment.
grounds my gears.
But like, I'm saying, like, ah, you focus too much on making it flashy that you sacrificed the story,
Story.
and it's like. I prefer the story. I come here for the story. Sure, do I want to see Spider-Man looking cool? I want to see the two Spider-Men working together. Yes, kind of. I didn't really ask for that, but yes, cool. But not at the sake of the story, because storytelling is what we're truly here for at the end of the day. And you sacrificed it for to look cool.
And
Right?
well, and I agree, dude. And it also adheres to your question, which is, are they physically too big? And yes, dude, it's like 90 gigs on my damn
Oh
PlayStation.
my god.
I have two external hard drives that are a terabyte apiece that I like play this rotation game with, and then I like take this like I have Cyberpunk in one right now waiting, which again I need to complete that too.
I didn't. Oh my god, I didn't complete.
But it's hard, dude, because like
2 years ago now.
even games that are really big,
Yeah.
there are some sustainable stories out there. The
Oh yeah.
Witcher 3 is like a 50-hour game.
Yeah.
I
It's
wouldn't sacrifice that game at
55
all.
hours.
Yeah, for like a base game, but I wouldn't sacrifice an hour of that game. You know what I
No,
mean?
that's like one of those. Like I know last episode we said that there were some exceptions to some of the things that we were talking about in the story. That would be an exception to this topic. Uh,
Exactly.
it, if, Witcher 3 was just a masterpiece. So
I wouldn't I wouldn't take away any of The Witcher 3. But even though damn well, like I tried to play The Witcher 3 again recently. I did it on my Steam Deck because again, talking about childhood me that is blowing away, like playing AAA games handheld is mind
oh,
blowing
yeah,
to me,
that
dude.
is
Like I grew up on the freaking Game Boy playing Pokemon Red, bro. Like so it's like
exactly.
when I'm playing The Witcher 3 in my hand on an airplane, it blows my mind. But it was one of those things that like I had to put it away. I had to put it away because I don't have 56 hours. And when your time becomes limited, some of the things that you tolerated as fun grinding in games now becomes annoying,
Oh yeah.
right? Like as a
Oh
kid,
yeah.
the crafting systems and stuff didn't bother me. Oh, I'll go collect wood. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll go collect this. Like, cool. I have to build my stuff. Like, that's super cool. Now, as an adult who's like, I only got a 2 hour window today. I don't want to fucking chop wood for an hour. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I want to get to my game. Like, one thing that the Horizon games do pretty well, or at least the way I saw them, is you can collect materials while en route to whatever you're doing. It does it
Yes.
really, really well. Of like, I need wood for my arrows.
I will fight.
Fine. I will run in a straight line to my objective for this particular objective. Instead of taking the scenic route,
Mhm.
I'll be able to collect wood on my way to my next objective, and I will get wood. They put
Yeah.
a displacement of enough materials out there that I didn't waste time
Yeah.
to go collect stuff. But like in Ghost of Tsushima, you gotta play the scenery to
Yeah.
collect the flowers. You gotta go off the beaten path. You gotta follow the wind and then go to the left of it because it's like that's where you're gonna find the collectathon stuff. And it's beautifully rendered and amazing that game is. I'm like, I don't want to collect flowers right now. I
Yeah,
just
like,
want to play.
it's a
I
fight.
just want to hear the next story beat that's gonna make my heart jump. I want to hear, what is Lord Sakai gonna say about this side beat right now? Like, what am I gonna hear? Like, I want to be a part of that. The story is what I come to these games for, and I think that's why I like linear narratives, and I think that's why I like the 25-hour mark
Yeah.
too, because I can get through the 25-hour and be satisfied with what I got. That I don't know. I don't know,
No,
man.
yeah, I agree with that because yeah, 25 hours I think is a good, especially for because because if like sure like we speak as millennials, but like and I'm trying to think, we're the ones who actually have the money to pay for like all of these games. These games are
Sure.
now because when we were kids, games were like $30 at the most,
I
$39
think brand
at
new
the
games
most.
hit 50,
Yeah,
but they would lose their upfront value
yeah,
a lot quicker. You'd
way
usually wait about 6 months and then you'd find a deal on something.
right. So like, so as I'm just saying this right now, the average 17-year-old is not buying probably a brand new game like we can, but even then, does that 17-year-old even have the time to do uh uh Assassin's Creed Valhalla? I don't even think so because
Nobody has the time.
he's got school, he's probably got some sports he's in, he's got friends, he's got family, he's got his responsibilities, his chores, and everything like that. That's too long of a game and too much. And he probably doesn't even have a PlayStation 5 because you have to spend another $500-600 on that, and his parents probably didn't pay for that unless he has a part-time job. Okay, fine. Now he has a part-time job. That's even less time now he has to play such a big game and everything like that too. So, these video game companies, man, like at a certain point, I know I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to give us as much as you want to, as you have the capability to give us, but at the same time, too much is a little. I don't know. Is a little much. I keep saying much, but like if you
It
give
it
us,
is that simple, I think. Yeah, like when it's too much, it's too much. It's
yeah,
overwhelming. It's like and it all comes down to balance, dude. It all comes down to balance because it's like I think a prime example recently, this is kind of a throwback to the PlayStation 4 launch, but you take did you play the Order 1886?
I didn't. I watched a gameplay of it though.
It's actually a really fun game. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's a 10 out of 10 banger, but it's actually a really fun game. But at a launch price of $70, or at the time I guess it was $60, 59.99
Right.
USD. Um, hell no.
Yeah.
Because
No.
it's like a 7-hour campaign.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude. 7 hour. But it's actually a pretty good campaign. Like it ends on a cliffhanger that'll never be resolved. You know why? Because nobody bought it. Nobody bought $60 for 7 hours. And that was the critique that really hit it when it came out. It looks better than like 90% of the games that are coming out now.
Mhm.
When you play it. Didn't have a bug, worked really, really well. I played it years later and was like, dude, if you just sold this at a $40 price, this would have 2 sequels by now.
Probably.
Straight up. I genuinely think that because again, now we're talking about that's a game that's too small. I would agree that 7 hours is too freaking small.
Yeah.
You need at a minimum, I would say the minimum that I'm gonna be tolerable to spend money on
Especially.
is like, oh yeah, like we're talking full price. Like indie games do it all the time. Indie games do a great job of like, dude, there are indie games out there. Like I really want to play this specific drive game that everybody's talking about. I want to play that.
Oh yeah.
And it's like $40. You know what I mean? Or oh, dude, the best example, which makes me a hypocrite because I just said I don't like live service games. Me and my buddies are playing Helldivers 2 right now, and
Yeah.
it is a blast. It is a
Yeah.
blast, dude. But that's talking about that's where this average consumer comes in. It's like I was down to play with my friends because I saw the community love it. I saw the community get into it. My friends were like, "Do you guys want to do this?" And I was like, "For $40, sure." I
If it
was
was $70, I'd be like, nah.
I'd question it quite a bit. I even playing it and loving it as much as I do, I'm like $70. Like,
Right.
it's a balance, but then again, I think that's why Assassin's Creed Mirage did so well for me too, right?
Mhm.
You sold it at a price point that was reasonable for its game. So I think another question of our video games too big is price point.
Price. Yeah.
So I'm willing to be honest, dude, I'm having more fun with some of these half sequels is what they quote unquote they've been calling them. Like Spider-Man Miles Morales,
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Mirage. They're not full-fledged AAA games. They're AAA love in a smaller space. I like it, dude. Like I loved Miles Morales, dude. It was
Yes.
so fun
That's very
to
fun.
take the basis of that game, and I think, and it, dude, it's like 20 hours in its own right. I think.
Yeah,
I
it's
think it
not very
takes you
long at
about
all.
20. It's
I
not
think
very
it's less.
long.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think you could push like 17 or 18 hours for the main game, and then however long it takes after the fact. So it can be said that less is more, especially for guys like you and me that pay attention to the story more,
Yeah.
and the narrative and the analytical side of my brain taking apart that narrative is so much more intriguing to a smaller portion. Dude, I just told you I put 72 hours into Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I cannot tell you the middle of that game. I cannot tell you a vast majority of the characters in that game
Right.
because it was a slugfest of an RPG of just grinding this quote unquote Viking simulator. And plus, I have my issues with it because I'm an OG Assassin's Creed fan, and it's just nothing
Would be both.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not Assassin's Creed.
Mirage did good well.
Yeah. If they had just not put the Assassin's Creed part in Valhalla, it honestly probably would have been a way better game.
I don't know why Ubisoft doesn't act like it can't just make simulators and not be successful. If
Right.
they had just made a game called Valhalla and take the 2% of the game that's Assassin's Creed out of that game,
Yeah.
I'd probably be talking to you like, hey man, it's a really, really cool, it's really long, it's too long, but it's a sick Viking game. And
Yeah.
that's probably what I would be saying. But in the end, you put Assassin's Creed on it, and it goes back to our last episode's point of like, stop taking things I love and readapting them
Yeah.
for no reason. So I
Especially
think
if it just doesn't work.
I think, yeah, I think the base answer is you can't just say yes or no. You can't just be like, are video games too big? Yes. Are video games too big? No. I think there's a preference because there are adults that are your age and my age
Mhm.
that fit into our bracket that don't have kids, that don't have spouses, that
Right.
just work their job and come home and they're like, dude, what are you talking about? I have 5 hours a day to play video games. I hit the gym and it's the first thing I do. I pet my dog while I'm playing video games. That's all I have to do, man. I just got to feed that little sucker and then I'm right on the PlayStation. So it is like, and those are the guys that are like, F you two. I want 60 hours. I want to get bang for my buck. And I feel like to an extent, that's a reasonable argument. If you got the time, you want to spend it. But it does suck because like I played Hogwarts Legacy. I loved it. I
Yeah.
put about 62 hours into that game because I'm a Harry Potter freak, right?
Yeah.
But I bought Baldur's Gate 3, fell in love in 6 hours and had to sell it back because
I
I was looking at the average play time that was like 80, 90, sometimes 100 hours for average play counts. And
right.
I was like, I'll come back to this another day because I
Right.
can't do it now.
I'm already telling you right now. I only bought Baldur's Gate at the same time I bought Spider-Man, but I didn't actually like start playing it until like November, December, and I haven't played it for almost a month now. So in that small 3 month time frame, I put over 100 and some hours into it, and I didn't even finish it. I just made it to Act Two. I just been doing absolutely random stuff. Like I just love because I love just like you said. I just love every time I go into a room into in a lot of these RPGs. I need to flip over everything. I need to see everything, any possible thing that could happen. And then also, I'm not gonna lie, I restarted with new character with two new characters at the same time. So, but at the same time, it's like so you give me all these options at once. It's a little overwhelming, and I figure out things that I want to do better, and so I restart. So that you're doing too much, So
I had a breath
eventually,
of fresh air in 2023. One of my games of the year, I've told you, is Sea of Stars.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
22-hour game,
Mhm.
old school JRPG style, clearly inspired by Mario RPG and Chrono Trigger. It was like one of my top 3 games of the entire year
Mhm.
because its pacing, its timing, its story, it was beautiful. It reminded me of the days of old while also being something new and fresh, and it wasn't overwhelming. I think overwhelming is the key term to this entire episode is like it's too much.
Sometimes it is. But you aren't wrong though. There are some games that are just because you mentioned Witcher 3. You know, and not until you actually mentioned that, and I was saying earlier the whole time like, oh man, like some of these games are too big and stuff like that. But I'm just trying to think of I'm trying to like in my head cut down Witcher 3 to 30 hours maximum. I'm like,
You can't.
I can't. But like it
Not
was
to
still
enjoy
a
it
masterpiece.
properly.
Yeah, it was still a masterpiece. So I'm like, so it's a very broad question. I would say for the most part, some games are too big, but it's not as easy. It's not as black and white.
Yeah.
It's not as black as your coffee this morning. Um, so that is a tough
Yeah.
question.
And I don't want to take away from those people. I mean, let's say there's a world where you and I control this medium, right? Where we click a hammer and we say video games are too big. I don't want to take away from the people that do have the time to play The Witcher 3 over and over again because they have that 53 hours. Because when I think back to the first time I played The Witcher 3, I loved every bit of those 53 hours. There wasn't, I mean, yeah, there's a grind, but like, you know, a game is doing well when one, I don't use your fast travel system at all. And two, I'm willing to put in the grind for the mediocre parts of your game. Well, maybe
Right.
not even mediocre, your more medial tasks of your game is probably the way I should put it. Right. So again, that's your Horizon Zero Dawn or your Forbidden West. I don't have an issue running and picking up those stupid trees for wood because it's en route to
It's
my
a long way.
gameplay and I can make it work. It doesn't force me to go, all right, today I'm going to clock in to my job and the game, and the only 2 hours of gameplay I'm going to do is go collect this tree and
It's
these
like playing
flowers. And
RuneScape all over again. I love
yeah, dude,
the game, but
I'm not
like,
here to play Minecraft. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to fight dinosaurs with arrows that are robots. You know what I mean? It's like, so there is a mixture. And Horizon Zero Dawn is another 64-hour game that I put in for Zero Dawn. But again, it was at a time where I had more time. I have Alan Wake 2 chilling on my PlayStation floor right now, and I can't click start yet, dude. I just can't because I'm waiting for my window to be able to put, because that is not a game, because Remedy knows how to fuck with your brain, and I want to be a part of every bit of it, right? And it's like, it got nominated for Game of the Year, and I want to know why. And it's hard, man. It's really hard. I think the best thing for guys like you and me, and I've told you this before, invest in a Steam Deck, dude.
yeah, I will. I
That
will.
helps keeping your that helps keep your gaming life alive, because like when I'm at work and I have an hour lunch break, I play my Steam Deck, and it keeps that, and it helps me get through the rest of the day, dude. It helps me chill because like I'm playing American Arcadia. I have a Final Fantasy VII remake on there, but again, talking about games being too big, I don't think I'm gonna buy Rebirth, man, because everybody's average playtime right now is like 80 hours, and I'm like, oh, like I want to be a part of this conversation. I get some bad FOMO in the video game industry too, man. Like I think that's why I put 60 hours into Hogwarts Legacy, because it was like the most talked about thing of February in 2023. So,
I do have
well, I
one
think
question. One
send
last
it.
question. So to bring it back to what you were talking about, you said 9,000 jobs were lost.
Yeah, I wish I had the exact number. I think it's either right below 9,000 or it's fine. It's actually, by the time this episode comes out, I would not doubt it if we're over 9,000. It's over
It's over
9,000. But
9,000.
it's like
What do
rest in
you
peace, Akira
think?
Toriyama. Um,
What do you, yeah, rest in peace. Rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. What do you think that the loss of all of those jobs and talent and whatnot is going to do to the quality of games that are coming out? Because I know you and I may have some differing opinions on the quality of writing and whatnot that's been going on. Do you think it's going to become better? Do you think it's going to become worse, or do you think they're gonna probably uh, bring the size of games down so they can focus on quality?
I think it's kind of do a trickle effect of everything you just said. I think in a perfect world, you'll see these writers and like all these developers and stuff that they've laid off in their gaming industry. In a perfect world, they'll start to see the success of the indie structure, where the indie games are smaller and they are more scoped, and to put Pacific Drive out there, it's doing quite decently well for an indie game right now. I don't know what the concurrent player count as of right now is, but it's like it's not a failure. And I think you see all these talented developers might start looking to these studios, these independent studios, and go, "Hey, look, I'm down to spend 2 years on a game instead of 10, and earn my paycheck back." And they might start trickling into these studios in a perfect world. In the reality of it, I think in reality, at least for a short time, I'm not going to say forever, I think some of these guys have lost their jobs. And it is heartbreaking as hell. But I think some of these guys, like the gaming industry, is getting compacted. And I think, yes, I think games have to get smaller. We can this topic is a question of opinion right now, but I think I genuinely believe that games have to get smaller, because when you got guys that are the king of the gaming industry, like Neil Druckmann, saying, I don't know if I'm going to keep making these big AAA games anymore. I'd rather focus on smaller IPs. Like he said, one of the most fun game he ever had making was Uncharted 2. That was the most fun game he ever was a part of. I don't necessarily have a problem going back to that type of smaller structure and focusing on the story and story alone, and using artwork as your visual instead of graphic fidelity. Like we've come into this world that it's like, if it's not 60 to 120 FPS and 1490p, if it's not hitting that benchmark, it's not a good game. It's like, dude, I played Shadow of the Colossus on a toaster that is the PlayStation 2, and it is one of the greatest video games ever made, and it is still visually stunning to this day for the pixel art that was out at the time. So I think accumulation of everything you just said is going to happen in a wave like a mountain. It's going to come up and be like, yes, video games are going to have to get smaller. We need to lower the budgets on these games. But the other problem is, the biggest problem, these freaking CEOs that are bringing in 40 million. Yeah, not gamers, bringing in $40 million a year into their own pockets, pulling out these same bullshit tweets every time they fire somebody. It is with heavy heart that I have to let go of these wonderfully talented people. And you look at that and you're like, Insomniac, why are you forcing Insomniac developers out the door? They just made you $800 million plus on this freaking. I think actually the actual revenue of Spider-Man hit over $1 billion.
Oh wow.
Don't quote me on that, but I think it did. And so it's like, it's a little bit of both. I think these CEOs, $40 million go home in your pocket. Why are you not putting back into your gaming industry? If there was a $2 million cut and I made $40 million a year, I don't know, it's really easy for a guy like me who doesn't have that money to say this, but I think I would dish $2 million back into my own company and build its success, not just let go of people because it's not doing Fortnite money, it's not doing this. And like I said earlier, like the trickle effect of success always has collateral damage, right? Your Fortnite's, kudos to the Fortnite success.
Sure, yeah.
Good on you, Epic Games, for making an idea that stuck and won. But it made this trickle effect of all these stupid money-hungry CEOs to go, ooh, we need Fortnite money. We need Fortnite money. We need Fortnite money. And now
you don't understand your own. You don't even understand your own niche in the
exactly
in the medium, and because of that, you'll do stuff like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and
exactly
completely alienate your entire. If you were to tell me, I'm sorry, I'll just say this last thing. If you were to tell me 9 years ago that Rocksteady was going to pretty much crap on its audience, I'd have smacked you clear in the mouth. Like don't you ever insult a studio that cares so much about its audience and all that, and that's what they did.
They're not listening, dude, because WB Games president or CEO and president, I think his name is like Perret or something like Perret. I don't know how to say it. Anyways, he talked about the success of Hogwarts Legacy as well as the downfall of Hogwarts Justice. I'm just saying too many games. Suicide Squad. Yeah. Suicide Squad and Hogwarts, like how the one was successful and stuff. He's not listening because he literally just said, he's like, we're going to double down on live service. That's how we're going to recreate this stuff. And he said, imagine a world where you can work, build, and play. That's what he said. Work, build, and play I think that's exactly what he said. Actually, I don't know. I'll double check that. But
I'm already working. I don't want to.
dude, exactly. That's how you know. Like, I don't want to crap on something you say on face value, but at the same time, did you just say work? He said Hogwarts Legacy 2 is likely to be a live service game. That completely takes away what made. By the way, Hogwarts Legacy, 24 million copies, the most profitable game of 2023. And you're going to take away what made it successful, which is not being that at all. And you're going to look at the game that is your least successful game in 19 years, which I think on Steam right now, the concurrent player count is like 340 for Suicide Squad. It's one of the lowest concurrent counts on Steam right now. And it's like, you look at both of those games and you're telling me, oh man, that live service game really sucked. We should really double down on those live services.
Like
The CEO.
It's Marvel all over again. Like,
yep.
Well,
man, I think this conversation could go on all freaking night if we really wanted to.
We have too much of a passion for video
games. I think episode 3 we need a chipper conversation. So we'll try to think of something good, like a chipper. I don't know. I was born in the 1950s, I guess. We need a happier conversation because the last 2 episodes have kind of been like the bummer conversation. But I think these are important topics to discuss. But
don't talk about it. It's not going to change.
Exactly. I think I've ran out of coffee. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I have definitely ran out of coffee about 20 minutes ago. So, like I said, well, actually, I didn't say this yet, but well, this was Brewing with Company. I am a highly caffeinated individual right now, and I was giving my opinion. So I would definitely love to hear what you guys have to say. Write it down in the comments. Make sure you share with your friends. And if you don't like our opinion, I'm just going to let you be great. So all that jazz.
That's the sign off now. Let you be great.